Today's festivities. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. This is a tradition that we do. We have a lot of workers, a lot of longshoremen around the world that die on the job every year, so please, a moment of silence for workers that have passed. Thank you. Okay, please be seated. My name is Ed Ferris, and I'm the president of Local 10. And on behalf of all longshoremen at Local 10, clerks at 34, and the foreman of Local 91, I want to welcome you to today's May Day event. It's going to be a positive, wonderful day. And I've been tasked with a little history lesson as to what May Day is and what it's about and why we're here. It's International Labor Day, basically, International Workers' Day. And it's celebrated in over 66 countries across the globe. And the way that we enjoy working conditions, the 8-hour day, that wasn't given to us. Back in the 1880s, it was fought and men and women were killed in trying to improve working conditions. So I'm going to just give you a brief background as to how it all began. It started in this country, and it should be the real Labor Day. What we enjoy in every September is not exactly accurate. It should be May 1st, in concert with workers around the world. So, in the late 19th century, the working class was in constant struggle to gain the 8-hour workday. Working conditions were very severe. Men worked 10, 16-hour days. There were unsafe working conditions, a lot of injuries and deaths. You look back at some of the books that you read in high school, Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, Jack London's The Iron Heel. Those were all descriptive as to how it was for workers back in that time. So, as early as the 1860s, working people were frustrated and tired. They began to organize. And so, the National Convention in Chicago in 1884, the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions, which later became the American Federation of Labor, proclaimed that 8 hours shall constitute a legal day's labor from and after May 1st, 1886, The following year, the FOTL, backed by many Knights of Labor locals, reiterated their proclamation stating that they would be supported by strikes and demonstrations, and that's what occurred. On May 1st, 1886, more than 300,000 workers and 13,000 businesses across the United States walked off the job in the first May Day celebration in history. So we need to understand that people were shot so we could have an 8-hour day. We need to understand that homes with families in them were burned to the ground so we could have Saturday as part of a weekend. And we need to recall that 8-year-old victims of industrial accidents marched in the streets protesting working conditions were accompanied by police and company thugs. That's how they were greeting our children back in the day. And we need to focus on what we enjoy and appreciate what we have. And that's why we're here. Now, in 1861, Abraham Lincoln, in an annual address to Congress, stated the following: "Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is superior of capital, and deserves much more higher consideration." And that is so accurate even today, brothers and sisters. It's not wrong to have better working conditions so that we can spend more time with our families. A $15 an hour minimum wage throughout this country is not a negative thing. Healthcare for everyone is not a negative thing. The problem is we have forgotten what we learned in kindergarten, and that is how to share. You're supposed to share in this country, and we do a lousy damn job of it. So I don't want to get too hot, but I'm very glad that you're here today. Today is about a wonderful, peaceful demonstration of the working class, which we all are part of and we all enjoy. And it's something to be proud of. So thank you very much for coming today.
Good morning, brothers and sisters and comrades. That was a wonderful speech given by our illustrious president. Let's give him another round of applause. This morning, before I came to the hall, I had breakfast over at the Buttercup. I know many of you have eaten there many times. And I had a brother from New York City who's going to be speaking here today with me, and I was giving him a tour, you could say, of the port. And one of the things that struck me, this is the 4th busiest port, I believe, Brother President, Brother Secretary, in the United States. And today, for 8 hours, ships are idle. Cranes are boomed up. There's been some manufactured ignorance here in the United States about a lot of things. One of them is the justification for slavery. Another is the conspiracy by the ruling class to deny working people of the United States the benefit of acknowledging and honoring the work that was done in this country to achieve the 8-hour workday. The 8-hour workday is centered in the United States of America. And governments throughout the world have official government holiday honoring May Day. No work, celebration of the worker, workers' dignity, and international labor solidarity. Everywhere in the world but the exception of the United States. And why is that? The reason is connected to May Day. There was a machine called the McCormick Reaper. Chops down grain, bundles it up. The workers that created or built that machine were iron molders in Chicago. They took the lead on the 8-hour workday. There was a slogan: 8 hours work, 8 hours rest, 8 hours play. Very reminiscent of what we see today with the $15 an hour struggle. But what you need to know, today we talk about the issue of police violence and the killing of unarmed African Americans, Latinos, and others by the police. That same history is tied into May Day. The police, which is loyal and provides the goon squad for the ruling class. That's why when we go to a picket line, the police are there not for us, for the bosses. There was a strike on May Day. 80,000 people marched down Michigan Avenue. A couple of days later, there was even a bigger strike of some 340,000 people. The police killed over 7 workers. That led to a special assembly at the Haymarket Square, Chicago. Someone threw a stick of dynamite. Historians have not been able to figure out who did it. The workers say that it was an agent provocateur of the police. The police claim that it was the demonstrators. It killed workers. It created havoc. A cop was also killed, but it ignited a wave of anti-worker sentiment all across the country. This is the reason why the powers that be don't want us to recognize and be connected with May Day. President Grover Cleveland was trying to get the vote for labor. He decided that he had to make some concessions since they didn't want us to have May Day. So he says, you got Labor Day, September 1st. Unconnected to any real struggle. You don't have to march. You can go shopping at the new department stores. President Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1958, during the height of the Cold War, decided that he was going to declare May Day to be Law Day. I am so proud of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union Local 10 for being responsible for reclaiming May Day. And it's something that everybody in this room should know. The largest demonstration in the United States honoring May Day took place May 1st, 2006, around the issue of immigrant rights. More than 1.5 million people were in the streets, the largest in Los Angeles and Chicago. We need to reclaim our history, brothers and sisters. We need to reclaim it now. This is the official Labor Day. This will be my last May Day as a rank and filer. And I hope that Local 10 and all of the locals up and down the coast, every May Day we should not work. Every May Day we should not work. And I'm going to conclude with this. This is not my quote, but I'm borrowing it. Conditions create outcomes. I'll say it again. Conditions create outcomes. It was the conditions during the 1860s. People need to understand one thing. We've been lied to, as Malcolm X says. We've been bamboozled. When the Civil War ended, there was a great deal of jubilation, not just among the black community with the end of slavery, but also amongst the working class, women, the disabled. They were empowered by that victory. And that's what spurred them on to do the struggle for the 8-hour workday. And I'm going to conclude with this. One of the people who was put on trial for throwing that dynamite was a man by the name of Albert Parsons. Albert Parsons should be recognized because he fought on the side of the Confederacy. But he learned the error of his ways. He, at the end of the war, he hired ex-slaves to work for him. But he also began to understand the relationship between class and race. He was one of the martyrs that were killed, hanged. And he was married to a woman, a black woman by the name of Lucy Parsons, who was a true revolutionary. So you see, once we start to learn about our history and make these links, we see the interconnectedness of things. Thank you for your attention. Now I'll get on with the program.